Well, as any good New Japan G1 climax should, the A block and the B block are coming right down to the wire to the final night, and probably the final match on each night is going to determine the winner of each block. And we had a little bit of a wrinkle thrown into the last match that happened on today's show. Yes, we're actually talking about the show that happened today, like 12 hours ago, which we never do because G1 is a pain in the ass to keep up with. But I'm going on vacation starting tomorrow, and I wasn't going to be able to do it for like the next 5 days, so we had to do it now. So here we are going through night 14, 15, and 16 we'll be talking about, and then going into obviously night 17 and 18 are the final block nights, and we have a two-way race. Actually, we have a three-way race in the B block, and I believe we have a four-way in the A block, but it might only be we have a four-way tie in the A block going into the final night.
Yes.
So it is going to be an interesting one. We've had some pretty good matches. We've had a lot of surprising performances from some guys, namely, I mean, Tonga and Tanga Loa really stepped it up. Tanga Loa especially really stepped it up. Tonga did really well, and Great Okan, most of his matches were pretty good.
Yeah, man, there's been a lot of some guys have really raised their stock, and especially, man, I don't think anybody has, like, based on, like, what expectations were versus what he's actually delivered, Tanga Loa is, like, holy shit. Like,
yeah, so I'm looking forward to the final night. The final night's not until, what, like, Tuesday? Something like that?
Yeah, I think it's, it's Monday and Tuesday or Wednesday. I think there's like the A block final is. Hold on, I've almost got it pulled up now. Okay, yeah, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay, cool.
So A block finals Monday in Yokohama. B block finals Wednesday at Budokan, and then the final Thursday at Budokan.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I should be fine to pretty much watch those on the day they happen because, again, AEW Dynamite is not on Wednesday this coming week as well, so we don't have that to worry about.
Yeah, kind of appreciate that. It's been... I'm caught up on New Japan Strong. I'm almost caught up on Dark.
Yeah, so thank you, Hockey, for preempting AEW for us so we're not completely drowned in the middle of G1 ending season.
Yes.
All right, so before we get into these shows, you're listening to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, you can join us on live on YouTube and Twitch. You can follow the links in the show notes for those. Also, we have a Discord. You can come hang out with us as well. You can also follow us on the Twitter at That's Wrestling 1 with the number 1. And hey, Jay got her notification that we were going live through Twitch this time, not just through us talking about it on her own timeline.
We have our fan.
We do have our fan. So
it'll be a great show.
Yeah, it's all good. And you can follow Trae at Wrestleism on the Twitter as well. So let's get into this show here. Night 14, and was it in Miyagi?
Yes.
Okay.
The Zebio Arena Sendai, which is a new arena and just a beautiful arena. The New Japan Cup finals were there too. They've got like these big, nice screens. It just looks like a great place to watch wrestling in.
Yeah, and Kevin Kelly mentioned at the show for the show that they had there earlier, and then this one, that the sound just bounces throughout the place, and it's ridiculously loud.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It's the old Miyagi Sports Center was a great venue. It's been demolished demolished many years ago. So it's cool to have. It's cool that Miyagi has a really nice arena for wrestling again.
So we kick it off with Ryohei Oiwa versus Hiromu Takahashi, and Oiwa actually strikes first and knocks down Hiromu with a shoulder tackle, but then Hiromu just chops the ever-living shit out of this guy. God. His chest was bright red. I was watching this in bed, and my wife was there on her laptop, and she's like, "Oh my god, that guy's like getting killed in there." So, yes, he is. Oiwa missed 2 drop kicks, hits a third, but Hiromu just keeps chopping the crap out of him and submits him with a full crab.
Need more Hiromu abusing young lions. That's good stuff.
We get 2 more nights of it in a row, so...
Kevin pointed out, you gotta build those calluses if you're gonna fight in New Japan. So
yeah.
Good for the young man.
Yeah, unless you're Daniel Bryan and you just always turn completely red and bleed every time somebody chops you. Then we had Tonga versus Taichi. Tonga coming in here with 2 points. Taichi with 4 points. They're both already eliminated. Taichi has taped ribs, which come into play. Tama comes in with some strikes, and Taichi with his Roman Greco choke. They throw hold, whatever you want to call it. They fight on the outside. Tama attacks the ribs. He puts on a body scissors in the ring. Taichi comes back with a bunch of kicks. Tama hits a Tongan twist, but crashes and burns on a top rope splash. More kicks from Taichi, an axe bomber and a gamaguri. Then Tama hits some punches. He eats a dangerous suplex for a 2 count. Tama avoids a Black Mephisto a couple of times, hits his follow-through Death Valley driver, hits the top rope splash for 2, and then he hits the gun stun, and Tama gets the win, and he gets his 4 points.
Yeah, this was cool. Built, a little bit about their history earlier this year, fighting over the tag titles and the Iron Fingers from Hell. The deciding thing here was that they were deep in the tournament, and Taichi is in bad shape. He's at a very physical tournament, and he's favoring his ribs. And so Taichi was the sympathetic babyface fighting from underneath, but it was kind of it was a Taichi match. It was kind of a slow brawl, but it was good.
And we have a normal tag team wrestler pinning the tag team champion. One of them.
That's true.
Next up, we had Sanada with 4 points. Yoshi-Hashi with 4 points. Sad seeing Sanada so damn low here with 4 points in night 14.
Yeah.
But he's facing Yoshi-Hashi here. Sanada works a little submission wrestling early. Then Yoshi-Hashi starts attacking the leg. He attacks him on the outside a little bit, works a butterfly lock in the ring, drop kick to the back of the head. Sanada gets on a butterfly lock of his own. And Yoshi-Hashi avoids a crossbody of the floor and then hits one of his own. Yoshi-Hashi hits a brainbuster for 2. Sanada fights out of a power bomb. Yoshi-Hashi fights out of a TKO attempt. Yoshi-Hashi with a lariat and then hits a power bomb. Sanada hits the magic screw, springboard missile dropkick, puts on the skull end, but Yoshi-Hashi arm drags out of it. Sanada hits the TKO for 2. Sanada goes for the moonsault. Yoshi-Hashi gets the knees up. Yoshi-Hashi goes for a swanton. Sanada gets his knees up, so they both stay down after that. And then they get to their knees. They start throwing forearms and working on their way to their feet, continuing. They reverse each other's moves a bit. Yoshi-Hashi hits a dragon suplex, a super kick, a double knees, a komigoroshi only for a 2 count. Clutch pin attempt from both guys. Yoshi-Hashi hits a big lariat, but Sanada escapes karma, hits a rope-assisted TKO, hits the moonsault to the back, puts on skull end with the hooks, and Yoshi-Hashi has to tap out. So Sanada finally getting a tap out victory to the skull end for once. So he leaves the evening with 6 points, Yoshi-Hashi with 4. At this point, I think people need to start tapping out to some of these submissions a little quicker, because now they're just like nothing.
Yeah. So Sanada had Yoshi-Hashi here. He had Goto on night 16. Kevin Kelly was bringing up the possibility of setting up a never six-man tag title match, which it's just wild that Sanada is this low in the pack after making the finals last year. And can you remember, or can you guess what two people did Sanada lose to in the group stage last year?
I couldn't tell you. I can't remember for the life of me.
Yoshi-Hashi and Goto.
Oh, so he gets his payback this year.
Funny how that works. This was really good. You still felt like Sanada was the favorite to win, but like the gap between he and Yoshi-Hashi isn't as wide as it used to be.
Definitely. Yoshi-Hashi, again, the past 2 years, he has jumped up multiple steps or multiple levels in his in-ring work. So really everybody in this tournament pretty much stepped up their game, except for Evil. He pretty much stepped down his game.
Yeah, this G1 has been a lot of guys who have been around for a long time getting the chance to really show their stuff, which is it's been I guess it's not the spectacular G1 that people want. People got so spoiled on from like 2014 to 2018, but God, it's good that like the mainstays and the sort of unappreciated guys in the New Japan heavyweight division are getting to show their value.
Next up, we had Chase Owens with 2 points versus the undefeated Kazuchika Okada. It starts off Okada in control, but Chase gets his knees up on Okada's slingshot senton. Chase hits a few boots to the gut and then a knee to the back. Neckbreaker for a 2 count. Okada hits a splash in the corner and a DDT for a 2 count. And then he gives Chase a DDT on the floor. Chase runs Okada into the corner when he's trying to put on the money clip. Chase hits a backbreaker and a lariat for 2. Okada comes back with the flapjack. Chase sets Okada on the top rope and pulls him down with this like cravat snapmare type of slam. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the one. Like, I need a kayfabe explanation as to why that move works.
I need a kayfabe name for it so I can actually call it something. Because he's used it a couple times in this tournament, and I think we basically waxed the same last time we talked about it. Okada hits the backpack neck breaker, big drop kick, and then puts on the money clip. He lets it go, hits a body slam, top rope elbow, and Chase fights out of a Rainmaker. Chase avoids a splash and tries a roll up with his feet on the ropes. Only gets a 2 count. Get the C trigger from Chase. Okada hits a German. Chase does he hits a Rainmaker of his own and hits a Shining Wizard. But Okada backdrops Chase out of the pile driver. He hits another C trigger. Okada fights out of the package pile driver into the money clip. Chase rolls out. Okada hits a tombstone, and then they exchange a few pin attempts. Backbreaker from Okada. He puts on the money clip, and Okada pulls Chase away from the ropes. And Chase taps out to Okada's move that nobody has tapped out to for a while, just like Sanada's Skull End nobody's tapped out for a while.
Yeah, as they figured out they needed to get some of these other finishers over. This was good. Chase gave a good account of himself. Like, way overmatched in theory, but he did just beat Tanahashi, so he had a little bit of steam. Feeling good, feeling confident, but Okada is Okada, and this is not the Okada of the last few years. This is the Rainmaker back. And first time after his weird money clip obsession last year, first time using it here. It was a different version of it, and very good match.
Yeah, it was basically a face down, like flatten the guy out type of move. You normally would see like an MMA rear naked chokes done that way, but now he just has a slightly different hand position.
I think it's looked like a move that Alex Shelley used to do.
Next up, we Yeah, I don't know. Actually, Jay wrote the Earthquake Arena.
Oh,
because that's the arena they had the earthquake in.
Oh yeah.
Next up, we had Evil with 10 points versus Hirooki Goto with 4 points. Goto is out at this point. Goto runs over Evil with a shoulder block, and then Dick's distraction fails. We don't write that too often. Evil rakes the eyes, but eats a bunch of forearms. Evil pulls the... he pulls the back away, but that is not correct. Evil pulls the corner pad away when Goto comes in for a splash, and he crashes into the corner. Goto's thrown in the barricade, knocking over the timekeeper. Single leg crab from Evil for a bit. They go back and forth. Dick grabs Goto's leg on the apron. Evil knocked Goto off the ring, and the timekeeper gets knocked down again. Dick attacks Togo behind the refs. Dick attacks Goto behind the refs. They have just swapped letters in their name. Behind the refs back, Goto thrown into the exposed corner. Yeah, but Goto hits a Ushigoroshi, little back and forth. Goto hits a reverse GTR and a lariat for 2. Dick distracts the ref, so Goto's roll up doesn't get counted. Goto pulls the ref out of the way when Evil is charging in. Evil runs into Dick, and then Evil rakes the eyes to avoid a GTR. Evil gets sent into the exposed corner. Goto hits a GTW for 2. He hits a mid kick and goes for a GTR, but Evil grabs the ref, and Dick strangles Goto. Jeez. And then hits everything as Evil, and it's over.
Evil just always bringing his dick out and ruining everybody's good time.
Pretty much. So Evil has 12 points. Goto with 4 at the end of this evening, and that's enough about that match. Because next up, we had an awesome match. Because It was Jeff Cobb with 12 points against the already eliminated Hiroshi Tanahashi. And this is a really fun match. Cobb shows off his power, so Tanahashi approaches cautiously. Cobb hits him with a drop kick, which is not something you're going to normally see out of a big guy, but you do with Cobb, and works the midsection with some strikes, step-in shoulders to the gut in the corner, and just continues to work the midsection. And then Cobb taunts Tanahashi and goes for the somersault senton off the middle rope, but he crashes and burns, so Tanahashi starts to fire up a bit, hits a flying forearm, and then he hits his second rope somersault senton. He then hits a dragon screw, puts on the cloverleaf. Cobb gets to the ropes. Cobb tries to lift Tanahashi over the top rope to suplex him to the outside, but Tanahashi is grabbing onto the leg, gives him a dragon screw in the ropes. He then hits aces high off the top rope to the floor. Cobb has to answer the 20 count, which he does at 18. Cobb tries to hit a suplex, but he's just too weakened at this point. Tanahashi hits a twist and shout and then a sling blade for 2. Then he goes for the high fly flow, but Cobb gets his legs up. A few strikes from both guys. Then Cobb goes for a spin cycle, but Tanahashi turns it into a sling blade for a 2 count. And then Cobb catches aces high and hits Kevin Kelly called it an F5, but it was more Wardlow's version of the F10. Hits an F10 for a 2 count. Cobb hits a snap German and then hits Tour of the Islands, and that is all she wrote. Cobb keeps his undefeated streak and leaves the evening with 14 points.
This match ruled. This was such a good palate cleanser after that horrible Evil match. Jeff Cobb is a force of nature, and Tanahashi is a genius and tried to beat him with brains. Went after the knee to try to neutralize Cobb's physical superiority, but Cobb is just so damn incredible, and Tanahashi is a genius at laying out a match, and this match fucking ruled.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole much more you can say. I mean, two really good workers, and they know how to work together. They know how to make their size differences work. Even though there isn't a massive size difference, because Tanahashi is a pretty big dude. But just thinking about it, you're like, oh well, Cobb's way more powerful than Tanahashi, so they're gonna play off that differential a little bit. And
I think most people knew that Jeff Cobb was really, really awesome, but this G1 has really been a coming out party for him.
Yes. Cobb gloats a bit, and while he's leaving, or actually not on while he's leaving, while he's on the microphone, he says it's 2 down, 2 more to win the block. And then in his backstage comments, he said, "In Evil, I remember what happened in the New Japan Cup, and that shit ain't gonna fly. I'm the unstoppable United Empire. In 2 days, Evil, you're done."
Yeah, we'll get to that match, but holy shit, they ended up being something. I don't want to skip ahead, but yeah, let's just move on. This match, Cobb and Tanahashi fucking ruled. One of my favorite matches of the tournament.
So Cobb, Evil, and Okada are the only ones alive in B block after night 14. Yes. We move on to night 15. Was it in the same arena?
Yes.
Also in Sendai. Then we have the other young lion, Kosei Fujita, versus Hiromu Takahashi. Hiromu basically gave Fujita the same treatment as he did Oiwa the previous night, and just chopped the ever-living shit out of the kid and tapped him out with a Boston Crab.
Good times. Hiromu beating young lions. Love that.
So then we have the bye match for Kota Ibushi, which means he can't get any more points tonight against Satoshi Kojima, and they work a few locks to begin with. Ibushi hits a crossbody to the floor, hits a slingshot splash in the ring. He works a chin lock for a bit. They exchange some strikes. Kojima hits a elbow drop for 2. Mid kick from Ibushi puts Kojima down. Does a few more kicks, hits a standing moonsault for 2. We get a DDT from Kojima. They fight on the apron. Kojima hits a DDT on the edge of the ring. Ibushi blocks a Koji cutter and hits a head kick and the last ride power bomb, or I guess they're calling it the Golden Star power bomb now, for a 2 count. Hits a Bamaye for a 2 count. Kojima avoids the Kamigoye, hits a Koji cutter, and then a brain buster. Only gets a 2 count. Ibushi blocks the big lariat, but he does get hit with the other arm for a 2 count. And then Ibushi hits a lariat of his own, but when they collide in the middle, again with lariats, Ibushi is the one that goes down. Ibushi fires up for a bit, though, hits a jumping knee, hits the Kamigoye, and gets the win.
Ibushi settled that lariat that, like, when they hit each other, and Ibushi just... It kind of slowly... It was like he slowly realized that he just had the shit knocked out of him and just kind of sank to the ground. It was so good.
I know. The classic, like, delayed or just slow sell, those are always great.
This was a really good match. Man, Kojima's a surly bastard. He's not going to roll over and show you his belly. He will drop you face first on the ring apron and anything else. His first match since... He wrestled Moxley at All Out.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh. Yeah, I just haven't paid that much attention, I guess. Tomohiro Ishii with 8 points versus Yujiro Takahashi. So Ishii sitting on the bubble here, but a lot of things would have to happen for him to make it anywhere. Yeah, he's totally screwed.
I was looking at it. I think it depends on probably Ibushi, Shingo, and Kenta all getting food poisoning.
Pretty much. Yujiro attacks Ishii right when Ishii is getting into the ring. Both guys get thrown into the barricade on the outside. Yujiro uses the walking stick a few times while Peter distracts the ref. Ishii just eats a bunch of chops and then fires back a few of his own. We get a running boot to the face from Yujiro, a backdrop suplex for 2. Yujiro hits 3 basement drop kicks to get Ishii just to lie down for a second. Ishii starts lighting up Yujiro's chest with chops. Yujiro hits a fisherman buster, hits a vertical suplex from Ishii. Yujiro bites Ishii's thumb. The ref lets it go on forever. He could probably be digesting the thumb at this point. Yujiro hits a spike DDT, hits the intercollegiate slam for a 2 count. Yujiro blocks a bunch of strikes, hits a clothesline, and Yujiro hits Ishii with a crazy, dangerous power bomb / buckle bomb in the corner. I don't know what he was going for. If he was going for a buckle bomb, he was like 3 feet short because Ishii's head clipped the bottom of the corner, and that looked dangerous as hell. But he did survive, and he was okay, it looks like. Yujiro hits a Miami Shine for 2. We get a Desperation Saito suplex from Ishii for a double down. We get strikes from Ishii, big lariat. Yujiro avoids and hits a brainbuster of his own. Then he hits Pimp Juice. Ishii kicks out. Ishii counters Big Juice with a backdrop. Yujiro blocks the brainbuster again, hits a lariat. Ishii hits a massive headbutt, and both are slow to get up after that. Yujiro just paintbrushes Ishii in the face, and he goes for Big Juice, but Ishii hits a German suplex, hits a lariat for a 2 count, and then he hits the vertical drop brainbuster, and Ishii gets the win, keeping his chances alive by getting up to 10 points with the rest of the leaders.
Good, solid, well-worked match. Very meat and potatoes. Just good stuff. Just want to take a moment to appreciate my man Yujiro. Another guy in this tournament who has, like, I don't know, I feel like people discount Yujiro, but Yujiro is a guy who would have a job in any territory at any place in time because he's reliable and consistent and can work. And
yes,
he deserves more appreciation than he gets in some circles.
Yes. He's a very good worker. I get that. Just at times his matches feel really same. Really feel the same a lot of times. Like he goes to the same exact sequence of spots over and over and over again, which is why I hate Evil's matches as well, because he just does the same spots over and over and over again. He varied it up a little bit this time. He added in Big Juice, which is new, so that's a plus. But we had pretty much the same spot every time. Peter distracts the ref. Marty's wife really needs to have a talk with him. And Yujiro uses the walking stick in like every match in this G1. So
I'll take Peter over Dick any day.
Yeah. Tanga Loa with 4 points versus Kenta with 10. Bullet Club versus Bullet Club. And Kenta takes exception to this, getting thrown down out of their first lockup. And Tanga Loa says, "You got to earn it. I'm not just going to lay down." So Kenta starts the playing games with his powdering. He rolls out of the ring, and then when Tanga Loa goes outside, he jumps in the ring. And then when Tanga Loa gets in the anga, Kenta jumps back out of the ring. But eventually, Kenta does attack on one of those transitions. Tanga Loa does attack on one of those transitions. Kenta gets thrown into the barricade. Then Tanga Loa into the edge of the apron. Kenta back into the barricade. It's a back suplex on the apron. Tanga Loa says, "I'm trying to put you in the back and the inside," after he hit the suplex on the apron, which I thought was pretty funny. Slingshot senton for 2. Hits a boot to the face and a standing moonsault for 2. Tanga Loa puts on the Operation Jado Killer. Kenta gets to the ropes. Kenta catches Tanga Loa coming into the corner, once with one foot, and then I believe the second time he got him with both feet coming in. Hits a snap across the top rope, flying clothesline for 2. Tanga Loa gets hit with a bunch of kicks, and that just fires him up, and he returns 3 kicks of his own, hits a blue thunder bomb for a 2 count. Kenta avoids apeshit and rolls to the floor. Tanga Loa follows him out there and drops him face first across the barricade. Tanga Loa throws Kenta back into the ring, and when he goes back in, though, Kenta attacks with kicks and a knee drop to the back of the head while he's hung up on the ropes, and then he hits a green killer. Kenta hits a running boot in the corner, but Tanga Loa then follows him out and hits a lariat in the opposite corner before Kenta can do his... but Kenta does come back and does the boot in the corner and the drop kick in the corner combo sequence that he does. Double stomp off the top for a 2 from Kenta. They exchange forearms. Tanga Loa hits a suplex. Kenta directs Tanga Loa into the ref, but he slows up. But Kenta attacks from behind, which then squishes the ref in the corner, and that takes the ref out. Tanga Loa says, "Face me like a man. You've been fighting like a bitch this whole match." So Kenta gives Tanga Loa a low blow. Jado is pissed on the outside. I do have to say, Jado did not get involved in matches during this G1, which was great.
Yeah, the only time he did it was to neutralize Togo.
Jado is pissed. He jumps up on the apron and starts getting into the ring. Kenta kicks the rope into his balls. Kenta grabs the kendo stick from Jado, and he sees the ref coming too, so he tries the Eddie Guerrero frame job. And while the ref is dealing with getting rid of the kendo stick and Jado, Tanga Loa returns the favor with the low blow of his own. Tanga Loa tries a powerbomb, but can't get it. Then Kenta rolls up Tanga Loa and gets the feet on the ropes and gets the pin. So Kenta, 12 points here. First one to 12 points. Tanga Loa with 4.
Yeah, got more into this the longer it went, and it felt like Kenta did too. The match just got better. Kenta, interesting thing that, like, he's doing kind of the same basic story as Evil, except, better in absolutely every way, and he's actually, doing it himself.
Yes. He does reuse a lot of the same spots, but then he varies it up every time, so it's not the same. He puts little tweaks on it, so you're not seeing the same exact spot every time. A lot of times he would powder, and then he'd wait for the guy to run in. He'd jump in, and then when they're coming back in, he'd attack. Well, this time they did a little, but it backfired on him, and Tanga Loa got the better of him on that one.
Yeah, and he's just really desperate, and it's playing off really well with the way that he's been winning these matches. And
I liked last year, he basically they had to keep coming up with creative ways for him to hit somebody with the briefcase.
Good times. Yeah. Good times.
Then we go on to Toru Yano with 8 points versus Zack Sabre Jr. with 10 points. ZSJ does not wait for Yano's 12-minute long intro, so he just puts on a rear naked choke right away. Tries a few roll-ups. Yano tries a few roll-ups. Zack tries a Cobra Twist and then another roll-up. Yano rolls out. He wants Zack to follow him to the outside. A little messing with that back and forth. Back in the ring, Yano hits a belly-to-belly overhead throw. Zack rolls out and Yano goes after him. Yano goes after him and then carries Zack through the curtain. We hear a bunch of stuff crashing, like they're fighting in the back with a bunch of weapons. And then Yano makes his way out through the entrance, and he makes his way back to the ring by 10. Zack comes out of the entrance. He's got a bag on his head, but he rips it off and runs back to the ring. This was a more entertaining Yano match. This is probably the most entertaining Yano match in this G1 so far. Though I did kind of enjoy Kenta and Yano as well. Yano puts on an armbar. Zack puts on an armbar of his own, and Yano gets to the ropes. Yano tries to escape under the ring, so Zack grabs him by the ankle, puts on a ankle lock, and pulls him out from under the ring. Yano rolls forward, sending Zack crashing into the edge of the apron. Yano grabs some handcuffs from his bag of stuff. He puts one handcuff on Zack's wrist, and he's going to put it on the other, but Zack ends up putting the handcuff on Yano's wrist, so now they are handcuffed together, which I think is just awesome. Always funny when this happens. They get a roll-up attempt from both guys when they get back into the ring. Zack puts on a flying triangle, switches it into a armbar when Yano has gotten a handcuff key out, but by putting on the armbar, it keeps his other hand away, and Yano taps out to the straight armbar, and Zack goes up to 12 points, tying the other leader of Kenta.
Yeah, this was
And Ibushi.
full on, unapologetic comedy match. I ain't even mad. Zack has worked his ass off this tournament. He deserved a night off.
Yep. And then we had another good showing from Great-O-Khan, this time against Shingo Takagi. We get lockups early. We get some hair pulling from both sides, because fair is fair. Some collisions in the middle. Shingo hits some step-in shoulders to the gut. Should say, Shingo has half of his ribs taped up, so he's got a bit of a target on his left side, I believe it was taped up. Khan hits a shoulder tackle. He kicks Shingo off the apron on the outside, throws Shingo into the barricade, and then does it again. They exchange chops in the middle of the ring. A couple Mongolian chops from Khan. Shingo blocks one of them and hits a couple of his own. And he's like, did I just do that? Like, his look, he's looking at his hands after he hit like 2 Mongolian chops, like, my hands can do that? That is awesome. And then he hits a DDT. We get a vertical suplex from Shingo for a 2 count. Khan hits a follow-in clothesline in the corner, puts Shingo in the Tree of Woe, hits a sliding drop kick to the face. Shingo hits a ton of strikes in the corner, and they exchange in the middle a bit. 2 massive strikes to the neck from Khan. They exchange a bunch of back and forth suplexes and then lariats, and Khan blocks both a Made in Japan and a Noshigami, and Khan attacks the taped ribs, puts on Sheep Killer, hits a backbreaker, back into Sheep Killer, and then he hits a power slam for 2. Shingo reverses the Eliminator into an armbar attempt, and then he just snaps the arm backwards, and he then attacks the arm, and then hits a Made in Japan for 2. Khan hits a Desperation Gourd Buster, and both guys are down. They exchange forearms, punches, and then headbutts. And then Shingo hits a forearm when Khan steps in for the double leg or the single leg, just like what happened with him and Ibushi when Ibushi clocked him in the face with a knee. This time Shingo caught him with a massive forearm. Khan ends up avoiding Last of the Dragon and a pumping bomber and hits a big lariat of his own for 2. And then he hits a dragon suplex, sliding forearm from Shingo. At the 25-minute mark, he hits a pumping bomber for 2. And then he finally hits Last of the Dragon, and Shingo gets the win, joining the rest of the gang at 12 points. So Shingo, Kenta, Zack, Ibushi all have 12, and Ishii is the last one with a very outside chance with 10 points.
Yeah, I love Great-O-Khan. Like, he's fucking weird. He wrestles different than anyone else, and because of that, he is a problem for anyone he faces. And that was kind of the story here. That Okan created problems for Shingo, and Shingo had to work hard for the win. And yeah, Shingo has come up with a lot of really cool counters in this tournament. And yeah, that blocking the knee and turning it into the Made in Japan was really cool. And then, like, they built to a hell of a crescendo, and the crowd was really into it. Kevin Kelly was yelling. This match ruled.
Speaking of Kevin Kelly, one bummer that Chris Charlton hasn't been with him for quite a while.
Yeah.
I always kind of like him. And obviously, if we could have Gino back, because, you know, He's just hilarious. Like, I hated him at first, but now I've grown to love Gino and kind of miss him.
Yeah, man. Fucking Australia. It's...
Get some Doki Smokies. So everyone else is out except those 5 people. Then we move on to night 16, which happened just finished up about 12 hours ago. October 14th in Yamagata. Mm-hmm. And this time, Kosei Fujita and Ryohei Oiwa get to both try to get beaten up by Hiromu Takahashi with Bushi. Young Lions get beat up. Bushi taps out one of the Young Lions with Boston Crab. It was awesome.
Was Fujita, if you're keeping score. Yeah. It's fun. Fun to watch them get beaten up. It's good for him. Builds character.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to how these guys continue to progress, especially given they've only been at the dojo since April. And is it Fujita that can get like the drop kick that can soar over half the people? One of them has a really high drop kick.
Yeah, I'm still having a lot of problems telling them. Like, I can tell their wrestling styles apart better than I can. They need to grow their hair out or something so they don't look quite the same.
Yes, it was much easier in the last 3 to tell them all apart. They all looked much different. These two, I'm still working out. One, I got to keep remembering how to spell their names when I'm typing it out, which I think I've got now. But now I just need to be able to tell them apart on which name is what.
Yeah, it's the shaved heads that make them almost indistinguishable.
Yeah. Then we go on to the first block match of the evening. Chase Owens with 2 points versus Taichi with 4 points. Taichi has his ribs taped up still. Chase wants a sumo wrestling start, but he keeps putting it off by going over and picking up a water bottle and taking a sip, and then miming throwing salt, spreading the salt. He does this like 3 times. When they finally do clash, Taichi just tosses Chase out of the ring. He chokes him with the camera cable on the outside. Taichi is then sent into the barricade, and then Chase shotgun drop kicks him into the barricade. Taichi hits a few kicks to get a moment from Chase, and some more kicks, hits an axe bomber. Chase hits a backbreaker, which is not going to play favorable to the ribs. Chase keeps trying to get a kiss from Miho to stop him from beating up Taichi any further. And each time he's denied, he keeps beating up Taichi. But Taichi then hits a Gamanguri, but he cannot lift Chase. Chase hits a C trigger to the ribs, then to the face. Chase goes up top, hits the Alabama Jam leg drop, and then hits the package pile driver, and Chase picks up his second win in the G1, ending the evening with 4 points. Taichi with his 4 points as well.
Yeah, Alabama Jam, tribute to the late, great, beloved, beautiful Bobby Eaton. So I was happy to see that. And, good little match.
Then we have a match we lightly touched on. Sanada coming in with 6 points versus Hirooki Goto with 4 points. We get a back and forth to start. Some fighting on the outside. Paradise Lock from Sanada. Goto comes back with a lariat and then a leg lariat in the corner and a bulldog out for a 2. Sanada hits a drop kick, sending Goto to the outside, hits a crossbody to the floor. Goto hits a Ushigoroshi when they're back in the ring, and then they start throwing forearms from their knees, working their way to their feet. Goto gets out of a skull end, but then Sanada hits a Ushigoroshi of his own. He hits a top rope assisted TKO, and he goes for, but misses a moonsault. Goto comes back and hits a top rope assisted neck breaker for a 2. Sanada escapes the reverse GTR, tries a roll up for 2, leg roll clutch for 2. Goto tries a clutch pin as well for a 2 count. Goto hits a reverse GTR, but then before he can hit the GTR, Sanada hits a Okada roll and gets the clutch pin for the victory. And as mentioned, he has now pinned both of the never open weight 6-man who are in the G1 in his block.
Indeed, that is what happened. Good competitive match. The battle of the perennial bridesmaids, and Sanada won, so he is the slightly less disappointing of the two. I love them both. I'm just joking about the way that they're positioned, but yeah, it's good.
Jay has to head out because she has not seen the rest of this show. So,
but who's gonna listen to us,
right? There's one other person listening. They're just not chatting.
Oh.
All right, so we move on to Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Yoshi-Hashi. There's way too much Hashi in these names, so I'm probably going to screw them up. Starting with some lockups and chops from both of them. Tanahashi hits a second rope cross body and then starts to attack the knee of Yoshi-Hashi. Yoshi-Hashi hits a few kicks and they start exchanging a bunch of suplexes. Tanahashi hits a couple twist and shouts. Yoshi-Hashi hits a dragon suplex. They exchange lariats. Tanahashi blocks Karma. Yoshi-Hashi hits a backbreaker and then double knees and then a Komigoroshi for a 2. And then we get a twist and shout from Tanahashi, then a sling blade. He eats a super kick, but he just powers through it and hits another sling blade for a 2 count. And then Tanahashi goes up top, hits aces high, and then hits a high fly flow and gets the win. So Tanahashi wrapping up the evening with 8 points and Yoshi-Hashi with 4.
I really liked this, just appreciating the greatness of Tanahashi. This is a test for Yoshi-Hashi, and you don't expect him to win, but you really want to see how well he does against this Tanahashi. It says a lot about Tanahashi that he has to be over the hill and worn down just for it to feel like he might be vulnerable against even the best version of Yoshi-Hashi. But broken down over the hill past his prime, Hiroshi Tanahashi is still better than 95% of professional wrestlers who have ever lived.
Yes, and of course he's got a great brain for it, so he can still work. If he couldn't do the high fly flow anymore, or he could barely walk, he'd still be able to figure out how to have a 4.5-star match.
Yeah.
Then we have Evil with 12 points versus Jeff Cobb with 14 points, and this is a line that I've written a bazillion times. Dick distracts, Evil attacks. Cobb hits a dropkick, though. Togo distracts again. Evil attacks again. He throws Cobb into the barricade. Ref is distracted. Evil attacks with the chair. Puts the chair around the neck. Dick removes a corner pad. Evil rakes the eyes. Evil throws Cobb into the barricade, knocking over the timekeeper. Cobb then makes a little bit of a comeback here. He tosses Evil over the barricade, bounces his head off the timekeeper's table a bunch of times after it got set back up. He sits Evil at the timekeeper's table. He grabs Dick Togo and then throws Dick Togo into the barricade, knocking Evil over at the timekeeper's table. Back in the ring, Cobb hits a back suplex and a standing moonsault for 2. Evil runs Cobb into the exposed corner. Hits a lariat. Cobb blocks everything as Evil, and he runs Evil into the corners, but he didn't go in the exposed corner. No. Dick Togo jumps up onto the apron, so Cobb tries to run Evil into Togo, but he ends up taking out the ref instead, so this allows Togo to get in the ring and start attacking Cobb as well. They hit a magic killer on Cobb. The ref is back. Evil hits Darkness Falls for 2. Cobb is sent into the exposed corner again, but he runs out hitting a big lariat, and then he hits a spin cycle. But when he's hitting the spin cycle, Evil grabbed or kicked the ref, so the ref is down again. Dick comes in, chokes Cobb with the garrote, And then Cobb, when that's over, Cobb blocks everything as Evil, hits Dick with a super kick, and then Evil hits a dick kick on Cobb. And Evil has a chair. Cobb kicks it into his face. He hits a German suplex, hits Tour of the Islands, and puts us out of our misery by eliminating Evil from the tournament.
Yeah, that was the whole deal here, was that if Cobb won, that would assure us that Evil would not be in the final. So I cannot remember the last time I so desperately wanted someone to win a particular match. But I'll give them this. They finally got me engaged in an Evil match, so hooray, I guess. I ruined a whole bunch of matches with Evil bullshit to get to this point.
I was engaged for like 3 minutes of this match. When he knocked him over while he's sitting at the timekeeper's table, and the final sequence where he kicked the chair into the face, German suplex Tour of the Islands, and no one. The rest of it's like, oh god. It just keeps going.
At least at least we're safe now.
Yep. So regardless of what happens in Okada's match, Cobb versus Okada will pretty much determine the block. Cobb just needs a tie to win the block. Okada has to win, or actually, not yet. We totally screw this up. We're going a little out of order here. So Cobb versus Okada is going to be what's going to determine the block, regardless of what happens in Okada's next match against Tonga. So Tonga comes in with 4. Okada also undefeated with 14 points coming into this. They start off with some submission wrestling. Okada works a couple leg locks. We get some back and forth with strikes. Okada hits a basement dropkick to the side of the head. Okada hits a little body slam, then hits the slingshot senton. Okada is thrown at, but jumps over the barricade. But Tama hits a cutter across the top of the barricade.
Yes, that was cool.
Once they're back in the ring, he hits a vertical suplex for 2. Tama drops a few cross-face forearms from behind, and then an elbow to the top of the head for 2. Okada comes back with a big flapjack, and they double down. When they get back to their feet, Okada hits a back elbow in the corner and hits a DDT for 2. Tama misses a splash in the corner, and Okada drop kicks him off the top rope. Then Tama is thrown into the barricade and booted over it. Okada blocks a gun stun attempt across the barricade and hits a draping DDT on the floor. Tama hits a few strikes when they're back in the ring, but Okada hits a drop kick, puts on the money clip. Tama gets to the ropes. Okada hits a top rope elbow drop. He wants the Rainmaker, but Tama hits Valeno. I believe that is what it's called. Valeno. We get a reversals from both guys. Then Tama hits a complete shot, hits a Tongan twist for 2. Okada blocks a gun stun, hits a spinning clothesline for a double down again. Tama then sidesteps a shotgun drop kick, and he hits the follow through Death Valley driver. Then he hits a big splash off the top for 2. We get some clubbing shots from Tonga. Then Okada hits a backdrop and a drop kick, and then a tombstone. And then we have the Rainmaker is ducked. The stun gun is blocked. The stun gun is blocked. We get a drop kick from Okada, missed. Gun stun is blocked again. Rainmaker is ducked again. Tama hits a bloody Sunday. Okada goes for a power slam, but Tonga turns it into like a half gun stun, but only gets a 2 count. Tonga then hits a double underhook spike pile driver and gets the victory, spoiling Okada's perfect run in the G1. And now this makes it Okada has to win his match against Cobb, and Jeff Cobb just needs a tie to go to the finals.
Yeah, this was that closing stretch was really, really, really good. It's like there was no reason to do this except for like to throw Tama a bone, and I'm kind of okay with that because Tama deserves it, especially like another guy he's been in New Japan for a long time, and he's been like kind of an unsung hero, and this was by far his biggest singles win in his New Japan career, and hopefully it augurs good things for him in the future.
Yeah, so looking forward to how this all plays out with Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa after this is over. I'm guessing they're going to go back to their tag. But I hope they kind of take some of the things that they've kind of picked up and added to the repertoire for this G1 into their tag team of GOD, and I think they'll be even more awesome.
Yes, I agree.
Tama gets on the mic because he gets to close out the show for the first time like ever, and he says, "I am Tama Tonga. Tonight I beat Okada. I changed my history today."
Indeed he did.
Good stuff. We come right down to the end here where Okada has to win his match against Cobb. So it's either going to be Cobb or Okada in the finals. They're the only ones left. Cobb just needs a tie, so they can go to a draw, or they can even do a double count out, and he'd still win. So a double DQ, double count out, a time limit draw, or a win for Cobb all goes in favor. Okada has to win the match to go to the finals, and then of course in the other block. We have a multi-way tie. Shingo, Kenta, Zack, and Ibushi all have 12 points. So I don't know who each of them have in their matches. Do you have that, Andy?
1 second.
Because Ishii is sitting there with 10 points, but I'm pretty sure they all have to pretty much get COVID for them to have any... for him to have a chance.
Right, so Ishii...
So Ishii's facing Yano, so he'll probably get to 12. Then Takagi is facing Yujiro. Zack is facing Tanga Loa, and Ibushi versus Kenta. Ibushi versus Kenta, they both have 12. So there's a lot of weird tiebreakers. Because if Shingo wins his match, then and Ibushi wins the match, Ibushi has the tiebreaker over Shingo. Zack wins his match, he's got a tiebreaker over Shingo and Kenta, I believe. Or did he tap out Ibushi too?
Who's that?
Zack. Who did he beat? Shingo.
Zack beat Shingo. He beat Ibushi. He lost to Kenta.
Okay, so he has to lose. So if Zack wins his match, then it would be a tie. He would act, and Ibushi wins and Shingo wins, then he would have the tiebreaker over both of them. Right. If Kenta wins the match, then Kenta wins the block. No, because if Shingo wins, then they'll be tied because they... Wow. Yeah. This whole comes down to those last three matches, because we could have any one of those three, any one of those four, depending on how these matches play out, could win.
I could see Kenta being a surprise finalist.
Yeah, especially if then it'll get really weird, because if going into that last match, because if Shingo wins and Zack wins, going into that last match, it's all going to come down to who wins that match. Because if Kenta wins, then Kenta wins the block. If Ibushi wins and Zack and Shingo had won, then Zack wins the block. So Ibushi needs Zack Sabre Jr. to lose to have a chance of even winning the block.
I have a headache.
So that's the biggest takeaway here. Going into the last match, Zack has to lose for Ibushi to be able to even win the block.
Yeah.
All right.
It's gonna get interesting.
It is. Wow. They got down to a really wacky way this year. Normally it's pretty straightforward. This year it is crazy how it can play out, and somebody could steal it just because somebody played spoiler. So.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's one of those like things could get really complicated, but they actually don't. Like it's gonna, it tends to come out perfectly. So
yes. So looking forward to it. Yeah. So I think that's it that we have for New Japan. We are current as of 12 hours ago, which is a first for us.
And also, this is the block that Naito was in, so like this is the one that had to get completely rebooked too.
Yes. Luckily, that happened the first night. It would have sucked if they were like night, 12 when this happened.
Yeah, that would have sucked.
So, not too bad. So I think we've pretty much covered it here. I am not sure what we're going to do with me being on vacation. I'm not sure how we're doing AEW on Monday or Tuesday. I know Daryl can't do Mondays, but I probably won't want to go Monday. So I'll probably we'll do Rampage and Dynamite, me and Daryl on Tuesday. And then I think you and I will be back for the final 3 nights of G1, probably on next Thursday, right? Probably next Thursday, or we'll do it on Friday before Rampage starts. Most likely. I'm shooting for Thursday. We'll shoot for Thursday, but Friday at the latest, I hope.
Yeah, this isn't New Japan. But have you seen the thing that Tony Khan may have accidentally leaked the Full Gear card?
Yeah, it wasn't on a piece of paper and somebody took a photo of him and then zoomed in and you could read it?
Yeah, he was just like, he had his notebook in his hand, it's a football thing, and somebody like snapped it in and zoomed in on it.
I'm curious if that's a total troll on his part.
I thought that too, I wonder.
And it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's pretty clear where the pay-per-views are going anyways. So it's not like it's a huge, surprise. So.
Right.
I mean, we already know it's Hangman versus Omega. So, I mean, that's the biggest one you can come up with right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we have that, and then it's going to get strange again because again we have Rampage Friday, Dynamite Saturday next weekend as well, and then I am going to Dynamite on Wednesday the 27th. So whoever I'm doing the Dynamite review with, they're gonna have to do all the writing because I'm not gonna be able to take fast enough notes.
Not it.
All right, I'll have Daryl do it. All right, so that's all we have. Wrapping up day 16 of the G1, coming right down to the wire on both blocks. So exciting nights to come. Monday, Wednesday, final on Thursday. Should be good times. Thank you, AEW, for getting postponed so you don't have Dynamite in the middle of that. And we can watch all these things the day they happen without fear. So I am heading on vacation as soon as we're done with this. Really, I'm just going to go to bed and then tomorrow morning we're going. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching and listening to That's Wrestling. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live on Twitch and on YouTube. You can follow the links in the show notes to those channels and come hang out with us live in the chat, throw in your 2 cents and correct us when we're wrong. Comments, question, feedback, you can send those to Eric@that'swrestling.com. You can find the RSS feed over at that'swrestling.com as well. If you can't find it in your favorite podcast app of choice, which is pretty unlikely at this point. There's a link to our Discord. You can come hang out. Also follow us on the Twitter @that'swrestling1 with the number 1 at the end. And you can follow Trae @WrestleIsm on the Twitter. So my name is Eric for Trae. Thanks for watching and listening to That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.